Okay, hi. So I have been reading Breasts and Eggs for like, I don't know, 7 days. And it's not actually the book's fault because I am kind of busy, but at the same time, it's sort of starting to drag a little bit in book two. Okay, book one was very interesting for me because I love sister dynamics, and also there's some commentary about poverty and what happens if you're a single mother and how do you survive that in a society that is so anti-woman sometimes. But what I really loved about book one, like I said, is this one heartwarming scene wherein the main character recalls this story from her childhood where her sister has turned her day, like a very sad day, she turned it upside down. So her sister is her hero, and her sister at the moment, she seems so frail and a bit, what do you call this? She seems very thin and sickly, and there is an obsession of her sister with getting breast augmentation. So there's a fixation on her breasts, but I think that is just like the sister's way of displacing her feelings that she's having with her daughter, because her daughter has stopped talking to her and she cannot connect with her teen daughter. And I think that is a common theme, right? If you have like a teenager, it's really hard to communicate with a teen child, which I'm quite nervous because, one day these two look at them. Yeah, one day they will be teenagers and they won't be doing those things anymore, and they might be defying me a lot. But anyway, so yeah, that's the breasts part. The book is divided into two, and I may be talking all over the place, but whatever, I'm just speaking what is on my mind at the moment. Okay, so book two is actually more on, I guess that's why it's eggs, huh? Because the main character, she doesn't have a husband, but she wants a child. Oh wait, she specified that she doesn't want a child, she wants to meet her child. So I am actually not clear yet what she means by wanting to meet her child versus the difference between wanting a child and wanting to meet her child. And she wants to raise this child as well. So she's been looking at infertility blogs, reading up on sperm donations, sperm donors, and then the place that I'm currently at is she has met this one person who he's a sperm donor child, if that makes sense. So his father is not his real father. He found out when he was 30 years old that he was not actually blood relatives with his father who raised him, and this caused an upset with him. And I think this is a very interesting take because I never really think about how adopted people, like adoptive children, see their identity without knowing their parents. Or if some adopted children, they say that it's fine that I don't know my real parents because my actual parents who raised me, they did a good job, they loved me, and I don't really want to know who my real parents are. Like, it doesn't matter, it's just biological. But there are some people, like the guy in this book who our main character talks to, he wants to look for his father, and it's highly likely that his father was a doctor at the hospital that he's currently working at, because that's, according to his mom, that's where she got the sperm, from this university hospital. So he said that there is a missing part of him, like not knowing his father makes him feel like he is somewhat part his mother and part nothing. So I'm not sure why he has that sentiment, but of course I wouldn't really understand because I'm not adopted or so I know or think. And I think at some point adopted children have a sense that they are adopted, perhaps, like especially if they have other siblings and they don't look like their sibling. Or maybe there are parents nowadays who don't keep it a secret to their children, like right at the beginning they tell them that, okay, I am your mom right now, but you did not come from me, or we're not related actually. Or I don't know, how do you explain that to their child? So yeah, those are my current thoughts right now, and obviously this is literary fiction, and so that is why I could not explain the plot right at the beginning. This is my second Mieko Kawakami book. And okay, the first one is Miss Ice Sandwich. Very short novella. Okay, I gave that 5 stars. But this one, this was okay. At the end of book 1, I was feeling like it's a 4-star. But now in book 2, I'm starting to feel like it's a 3.5. And I don't know if the ending would turn that around. But yeah, at the moment, I am not okay. Basically, I didn't feel the 5-star feeling. I'm not feeling it. Like usually I know that a book is gonna be a 5-star right towards the beginning. Like I can call it right then and there. But for this one, I couldn't. So I was like, okay, it's a 4. And then now it's like a 3.5. But in Goodreads, it's gonna be like a 3 because there are no half stars in Goodreads. And I stand by the rating system of Goodreads. So yeah, that's all I have to say for now about
So
this
last
book.
night I finished one of the very few chapters before it ends. I'm on page 330. Wow. Okay, this is back to being a 4-star book. Okay, so our main character really wants to be a mom. She realized this while she visited this one author friend of hers, and this author friend had a child, but she was a single parent and she was totally fine with it. And then because she was thinking about it, right? She was already thinking about having a kid and whether to push through with a sperm donation, but then she was still having hesitancy. But then when she met the daughter of her friend, and she was so delightful, and then she smelled her, like there is a distinct smell of children that you really love to smell. Like it really does smell delicious, especially when they're like newborns. So there's that distinct kid smell that made her blurt out all of a sudden that I want to have a kid so bad. And then so she had a talk with her friend, and then her friend was like, you know what, go for it, do it, okay? If you want to have your own baby, go ahead, do it. And then another friend of theirs, the editor, came, and then she was like just listening to their conversation. And then when they left the house, she immediately told Natsuko, like, you are not in the correct headspace right now. Like, how can you be a mom when you can't even finish your book? Like, she went there. And there was an instance in the previous chapters where this editor, when she was drunk, she also got slapped. So I'm guessing that's like a prelude to this event where she really does say mean things when she's drunk. And anyway, our main character was like, no, what if I can be a mom? And then so she left. I mean, she ended with a very sour note with that editor, and then she left. And then suddenly she was getting a call, and she thought it was the editor to say sorry, so she ignored it. But then she looked, and then it was actually Maki. And her sister was like, oh, how are you? And then she suddenly said that she's gonna have a baby. And then Makiko was like, are you pregnant? Why didn't you tell me about this? And then she's like, no, I'm going to get, like, the sperm donor and all that stuff. She gave like a rough summary of what she wants to do. And then the sister was like, no, it's so hard to raise a child. And then so the main character was like, what? So you're allowed to do it, but when I'm going to do it, I can't be a single parent, blah blah blah. So I feel like in that point she was like, everybody was going against what she thought she wanted, and so that made her actually do it. That is to email the direct donor that she was talking. So there's this man who can directly donate his sperm, and this man also, he has like he doesn't just give his sperm away. He also wants to interview the potential mother and to find out if the mother is like, if she's a smoker or if she has good health. Like, he also wants his future children be in the hands of someone who actually wants to take care of kids. So she was really thinking about it, and then she wasn't really gonna push through. But then when these people started telling her that she can't do it, she went ahead. So that's where I am at right now. She's gonna meet up with this sperm donor guy, I guess. And also she was actually, okay, it was sort of obvious. So she was having these constant communication with the doctor who was a child from a sperm donation, and it was so obvious that they're kind of like, it's clicking, but he has a girlfriend, so she can't really commit. And also she has these issues with her not being able to have sexual intercourse, and not physically but emotionally. Like, she feels like when someone is inside her, she feels like she wants to die. That is how she explains it, and that's why she broke up with her very first boyfriend in the first place. So I don't know where it's gonna go, where it's gonna head, but yeah, right now it's a 4 stars again. So maybe I guess the next update would be if something great happens, something very controversial happens, or when I finish the book. So I'm super close to finishing this book, but you know, I just want to update again because something happened. Okay, first of all, the sperm donor, such a creepy guy. I feel like he is a fraud and he's just doing this so he can, let's just say he has an obsession with his sperm, like the sperm count, the motility, like the volume, the potency. Like he was really hyping it up. And the fact that he at 10 years old took some of his sperm, brought it to school and looked at them under the microscope, like that's when his obsession started. That freaks me out. And so it was just right that Natsuko did not push through with this guy, but also she saw Yuriko. So Yuriko is the girlfriend of the doctor that she likes. Jun Aizawa is the name of the guy. Anyway, so she was like, why are you following me here? And I'm like, oh, I didn't follow you. So they were like at the train station initially, and then they reached the park. And basically this Yuriko person told her that, you know, you shouldn't be bringing children into this world because one, they will just experience pain. Two, you're not going to be the one who is experiencing the pain, so that is very selfish of you to bring them into this world. And they're not even asking to be born, and yet here you are trying to bring them into this world. And this Yuriko girl, she experienced a lot of hardships back when she was young, and I think this is why she has this kind of very cynical perspective. Like she has been sexually abused multiple times by her adoptive father and some of the men that he brings to, what do you call this, sort of like to pimp her out to other men. And that is why I guess she has that. But then she also believes that the things that she has experienced, the pain of that, the pain of her experiences does not amount to the pain of being born. And I think she is just really, you know, she just has a very different outlook with life. Like she is making herself believe that being born is a problem when actually it's the actual painful experiences that was a problem. So she was telling Natsuko, so better think about what you're doing because you're bringing kids into this world and you're being selfish by doing that. So I highly disagree with that idea. And even if there are some people who think that way, like why would you want to bring children to suffer in this world? Okay, first of all, it's human nature to want to reproduce. It is an instinct. And maybe some people would say everybody should stop that instinct and we should just all die out as a species. Fine, you could think that way, but given that this is our biological makeup, it's never gonna happen. And also, like if you experience the love, like if you're born into the right family, if you have great parents, or even if they're not biologically related to you, if you are surrounded with people who are so loving and caring, you wouldn't be thinking this way. And you would also want to have your own. I think this is what Natsuko cannot pinpoint with her feelings. Like she wants a kid, but she doesn't know why she wants a kid. And actually, I think it's just her maternal instincts kicking in. I remember watching this YouTuber. She's not interested in having children. And then one day, she had a dream wherein in her dream, she was able to come up with a baby girl's name. And she was so surprised because one, she doesn't want kids. Two, she's not thinking about having kids. But then she had that dream. So, you know, dreams are a window to our subconscious. So that is her maternal instinct kicking in, saying that, hey, maybe you want kids. Why don't you, why don't you think about it at least? Be open-minded about it. And this YouTuber, she changed her mind actually, and she said that, hey, maybe I do. Probably will consider having kids in the future. So there's my rant about Yuriko. And actually, the main character is also like the doctor that she likes. Turns out that he likes her too, but it seems like the main character Natsuko, she's just so out of it. Like she's just in a spiral after this conversation with Yuriko and having children. Like, because she is thinking, okay, I'm not gonna have kids anymore because of what Yuriko said. But at the same time, I think it's eating her up. This kind of, because it's not what she really wants. So I'm at that part, and then the editor that was very mean to her, she died of cancer, and I'm in that part. So I don't know. Like obviously she's sad about it, but you know, she has like other things. Like maybe that is contributing to the disturbance that is in her brain. Like, okay, I'm not gonna have kids, even though deep inside I really want to have kids. And also there's this editor that was my friend and I didn't even get to say goodbye. So there's those kinds of things. So right now this is a solid 4-star book for me. There's only a couple of chapters left. The question is, will she push through with her decision to not have children, or what? Okay, at first I was like, okay, book 1 was great, book 2 is kind of boring, but I realized that the setup for book 2, like, it's much thicker than book 1, obviously. The setup for book 2, it pays off and in the end. Like, you would really need to know that beforehand so you can appreciate what happens towards the end. So, hey, this is looking like a good 4-star book. I started reading last night around 10 and I couldn't stop reading, so I just read it all throughout the night. So I slept at midnight. And what can I say? Okay, this is a 4-star book and I love the ending. Amazing. It's what I wanted to happen. There was a bit of a surprise for me, a very delightful surprise, wherein she's facing her fears and her sadness, sort of. She's facing it head on. And the way that the story unraveled, like all things fell into place and she finally did what she wanted to do, and in her own terms, even better. Like, I don't think this was even in her own terms. It's like the universe gave her this opportunity to achieve her dream, and well, it's just so romantic. When suddenly, okay, so it's her niece's birthday. The doctor said that I share a birthday with your niece, so I thought you would probably be in Osaka at this time. So yeah, do you want to meet up? And she was like, are you in Osaka? And then he's like, yeah, I am. So that's very delightful. So they're having this like talk. I really love the talk about the Voyager, the probes in space that are searching for, you know, information from the space and then sending it back to Earth. And it's also carrying the music, memories, like how humans work and all that. So in case maybe there's something out there, they could see who we are, like even if we're already extinct. Like there was an entire species in a different corner of the universe that existed at this point in time. That's us. And then when you think about that in that perspective, you would realize that the things that you're experiencing in this world is not so significant, because human lives are so short. Like on the grand scale of things, we literally do not matter as individuals. But then, you know, when we feel the pain and emotions, it feels like it's the biggest thing that's ever happened in this world. But if you're having this very hurtful moment, or if you feel like you're dying, like if you think about grander perspective, it helps you not think about too much about your problems, not as grand as it is. And it could either be just your vanity or it could be just your feelings, because you're human. But I really like that juxtaposing human experience with everything else. So then she said that she's gonna have a kid, and then she decided to have a kid with a doctor. So because he literally said, hey, if you still plan on having a kid, who was the thing that he said exactly? Because it's so cute. Okay, he said, Natsuko, if you're still thinking about having a child, how about having it with me? In the end, so she gave birth to a very healthy baby girl. I love that for her, because I felt the same way. Like when she gave birth to her daughter, she was like crying, and I did too. But I guess most mothers do that. They cry. Then you hear the cry of your baby for the first time. It'll make you cry. At that time, I cried because I was like, oh gosh, she's a healthy baby girl because she's crying, and that she's finally here. That's what was running in my mind. So, and anyway, so Natsuko and Jun Aizawa, they both decided that, she decided that she wants to raise this kid on her own. So she didn't marry this guy. They were both not interested in commitment. But then in this point, in this way, she's able to become, like, isn't that strange? Like, her mother was a single mom, and she knew how hard that made it for her mom. Her mom is not a single mom, but she could likely be one already because her dad was such a deadbeat person, right? And then her sister's a single mom, and then she was left by the I'm not even sure if she is still in contact with the father. And here she is. Okay, she decided deliberately to be a single mom, and although she said that if her daughter wants to meet the father, there's no problem with that. But she's also not demanding any sustenance from Jun Aizawa, and Jun Aizawa is also okay with not being a present father figure in that girl's life. And I think that perhaps is respecting also the wishes of Natsuko. Okay, what are my conclusions? Mieko Kawakami has a special way of telling the story that is very, very reminiscent of how I feel whenever I read a book from Haruki Murakami. They have such similar styles. The intricate details that seem so insignificant, and then the full circle storytelling. Yeah, I have a strong feeling that this woman is going to be this one. Excited to read All the Lovers in the Night. But maybe I'm going to squeeze in a thriller in the middle first because, literary fiction, when you read it too much, it starts to kind of like burn you out a little bit. But this was a good burnout. Great book. Love it. I love the motherhood commentary on this. I just remembered this one thing that she said when she was talking to Yuriko, the girl who told her that, oh, you're bringing kids to feel pain in this world, right? Natsuko says, maybe this thing can never be undone, having a kid. There's no way of knowing how it'll turn out. Maybe I'll look back and realize it was all one big mistake. But as far as I'm concerned, I'd rather fail than let it go. So this means like I could be a fail mom. Like I could be bringing her into this world and she could just experience pain. Like I'd rather risk that than not having tried at all. And I know that perhaps it seems very selfish to Yuriko for her to say that because obviously she is not really. Well, actually, you know what? I recant it. I recant my opinion. No, because when your child gets sick and they're in pain, you can't say that I'm not in pain too. When this kid, oh no, you wrote on your neck, baby. He wrote on his neck. Like if any of them is sick, it just literally. Oh no.